Hello everyone, my name is Dean and welcome back to the 20 in 20 challenge. This is week 11 and this week we're going to be taking a look at creating an action text active storage blog thing that allows you to create some video embeds. So whether you're creating a psychology blog or your own programming blog, if you want to have a video reference embedded inside of it, or maybe even multiple, this is how you can extend action text to allow for video embeds. Now this is also how you would extend it for other types of file formats maybe. This is applicable in a wide variety of ways. You might just have to get a little bit creative and tweak some of the things we do today. But this should be a shorter video. It did take a little bit to figure out how to do this, but hopefully you'll get some value out of it. Now it is late. I have to get up at 5 in the morning for work, so let's just go ahead and let's jump into some code. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to create a basic scaffold. So for this we're going to type Rails G scaffold post. This is going to have a title, which is going to be of type string by default. And I guess we can give it some views, which will be of type integer. So we can go ahead and we can run that, and this will run our scaffold generator for us. Once that's done, I can exit out of this and hit Control L to clear my console. Let's come into our application. We can come into our DB folder, our migrate file, and we can come down to this integers. Let's just add in a comma and say the default is 0. And that's just because if you don't set the default for something like a view counter to 0, it will default to, like, I think null or nil. And then when you try to do, like, you know, integer.views plus 1, it'll be nil plus 1, which doesn't work. So this way it's 0 plus 1, which is just 1. Once that's done, we can come into our config and our routes.rb, and we'll just say route to the post controller index action. Then we can come into our app, assets, style sheets, and we can delete the scaffolds.scss file because it gives us an ugly highlight effect and it changes some of our styles here, and we don't need that. So once that's done, we can minimize that. And now let's come back over to our console and let's run a Rails db:/migrate command to migrate the database. And once that's done, we can start our server and see what we just did. So let's go ahead and let's type Rails S to start the server. And then we can navigate to localhost :3000 to see what our website looks like now. So you can see here, let me just bump this up. We have our posts with titles and views. So I'll hit new post. I'll give it a title of test and I'll hit create post. And then you can see our titles right here and our views are 0. Now, of course, whenever I go to this page, the views aren't updating. So let's go ahead and let's change that real quick. So inside of app controllers, post controller, we'll just say this post, you know, we'll grab the @post.views equal to @post.views plus 1. And this is, of course, the same thing as @post.views plus equals 1. It's just a bit more clear what we're doing here. And then we'll just say @post.save. Now, of course, you do also have access to something like @post.update, where you can set the views to be equal to the @post.views plus 1 or something. But I just want to do it this way because I try to do it a little bit differently every time. So that handles our view counter now. That will update as we refresh. So let me just refresh this page. And you can see here, every time we do this, there's a database transaction and our view counter goes up. And it, you know, persists through all of this. So, okay, that takes care of that. But now let's get to the actual point of this video. Let's do some action text stuff. So the first thing we need to do is stop our server. I'll clear the console. And let's go ahead and let's run a Rails action_text: install command. So if I just hit F11, you should be able to see the full command. And this will run our action text installer. So this is going to install active storage as well as action text. It'll run the yarn command and all of the other good stuff. So once this is done, we have these migrations right here. So we do need to run another Rails db:/migrate command to migrate the database again, and that will create the necessary tables for us. So I'll go ahead and I'll exit out of this and I'll clear the console. So now we have this, but how do we add in a body for our posts? Do we have to, like, you know, create a generator or generate a migration or something? Well, no, because it's action text, and I sort of covered this in the previous video, we can come into our app models, post.rb, and we can just say this has rich text, and this will just be the body. You could, of course, name this whatever you want to. I'm just going to call this body. The next thing we need to do is come into the post controller. If we scroll down to the bottom, after the title and views, we can add in a comma, and we can say this is for the body. Now that is the back end, the model, and the middle, which is the controller. We now need to handle the actual front end, which is the views. So if we come into our posts folder inside of our views folder, we can go to the form. And when we create a new post, if I start the server real quick, we don't need to be able to change how many views there are when you create a post. So this isn't necessary. So what we can do is we can get rid of this, or we can just like repurpose this. So we'll just change this from views to body, and we'll change this from views to body. And instead of this being a number field, we want this to be a rich underscore text underscore area. So we'll save that, we'll refresh, and now you can see we have our action text here. So this, of course, works just like you would expect it to. We can enter in some text. We can find a lorem ipsum generator. You can just search for this, or you can go to looks like loremipsum.io. We can generate 5 paragraphs and then copy this, and I can paste it into the rich text area here. And then maybe we can like bold this paragraph and italicize this paragraph. And you can see this works just how you would expect it to. So this is a test post. And then I'll hit create post. So now when I create the post, you can see we have the title and the views, but the body isn't here. But right here, you can see that we did update it, and it looks like that worked. So where is it? Well, we changed the form, but we didn't actually change the show page, which is the page we're on right now. So if we come back into our post folder, we can come down to show.html.erb, and below the views, we can just enter some Ruby code, and we'll just say @post.body. If we save that and refresh the page, we now have the post body here. So that's pretty cool. You can see that the format is preserved there, but what else can we do? Well, let's go into edit again, and let's scroll down a little bit. Maybe what we want to do is in here, we can try to attach something. So let's click attach. I'll come over to pictures, and I'll attach a picture of my cat. Sure, why not? So now you can see that the picture exists right here. If I click update post, the picture doesn't show up. Well, if we come down to our console, you should be able to see, if I scroll up a little bit, hopefully an error here that says cannot load such file minimagic. So I covered this in the previous tutorial, but if we come down to our gem file, we need to uncomment this gem image processing. So we have the image processing uncommented because we're using variants, I think. But the other part of this is, if we come to our terminal and I clear this, let me stop the server and clear this, we also need ImageMagick. And for this, we can type sudo apt-get install ImageMagick with a K. So it'll prompt me for my password. I already have it installed. If you don't have it installed, you just need to hit Y and hit enter. Or you can go to Google and you can just search ImageMagick if you're not running, this specific operating system. Let's say you're on a Windows and you need to install this in a different way. You can just go Google this. They have installers for Windows as well. But okay, that handles that. Let's also run a bundle install command to install that image processing gem that we uncommented. And now let's go ahead and let's run Rails S, and we'll refresh this page. And now you can see the image appears just like you would expect it to. So now we have a blog with views and images, but maybe we want to also have like a, tutorial video. So let's say, you're some dude who thinks he's smart, so you make a whole bunch of programming tutorials like these, and maybe, you want to include a video somewhere in your blog post. I mean, of course, this is a YouTube link right here, but let's say you wanted to host your own videos. Well, this is sort of how you can do that. All we really need to do, because it's not that hard to extend this, if I come in here and I click edit, we can come below this image, and maybe right here we want to attach a quick video. So let me come over to my videos, and I'll just attach this intro video because it's a small file. You can see down here it was uploaded, and it appears right here with the extension. So you can see this is a .mp4 video. But if we actually update this, because there's no preview there, you can see right here, it still doesn't show a preview or anything. Like the file is clearly here. It's just not doing whatever the image is doing to appear. Well, to fix this, we can actually come into the thing that's creating the images on the page by going into our app and then our views. And right here you can see this active storage folder. If we expand that, there's a _blob.html.erb partial. And if we open this, you can see that there's a whole bunch of stuff here. So let me go ahead and let me full screen this because we're going to be doing a little bit of magic in here. Right here you can see the attachment is determined based on if it's representable. So if it has a preview, then it does one thing. Otherwise, it does another thing. So here we're giving it the class of preview or file. And we're also working based on the extension. So, okay, that's great, but how do we actually do videos now, right? Because you guys aren't just here for CSS classes. So how do we do the videos? Well, we have this if blob is representable, blah, blah, blah. Or what we can do is we can just say, is this blob an image? If it's an image, do an image tag. Or, is this blob a video? And if it's a video, then do whatever's inside of here. If it's a video, we used an image tag for the image. Maybe we can use a video tag. So we'll say video tag, and then we'll say URL _for, and then we need to grab the blob.attachable. Okay, so that seems fine. What happens if I save this and I come over here and I refresh this page? Well, you can see when I refresh, nothing really happens. And the reason for that is, although we have this video tag here and we're using this URL, the actual HTML video tags are not going to be shown on the page because we still need to sanitize the HTML tags. So to do this, what we can do is come over to our config and our initializers, and in here we're going to create a new file, and we'll just call this HTML _sanitization.rb. And then what we need to do is we need to say Rails : HTML : white list sanitizer allowed tags, and we need to push in the video tag. And I'm going to copy this line and paste it 2 more times because we need the video tag, we need the source tag, and we also need controls. But the controls, I believe, are in allowed attributes instead. So I'll go ahead and I'll save this. And then I guess I have to restart the server probably. So if I restart the server and then I refresh the page, hopefully we see a video now. Now, of course, this is a big video because I think this is 4K, so let me zoom out a little bit. But if I come in here and I right-click Show Controls, I can hit play, and you can see the video is now playing inside of the blog. Of course, this is, blown up to a massive size, but, the video still works. And you can see it's a little bit outdated because it's using deanout.com and not deanin.com, but I digress. Let's go ahead and let's see if we can change this a little bit. So one of the things I wanted to show you guys, if you come over to Google, you can search for Video.js, and we can use the Video.js player to sort of customize this a little bit more. So let's come over to the Get Started page, and hopefully they'll have a download link for us. Looks like they do. Let me just scroll in a little bit. First thing we need is this href right here for the style sheet. And we're just going to put this inside of our posts show page because this is the only place we're putting these videos. So right at the top, we'll throw in this link to the style sheets. There's also a way for you to support Internet Explorer 8 if you'd like. And then there's an example here of what you need to do, which we'll talk about in a minute here. And then at the bottom, there is the JavaScript tag, which we'll copy and we'll paste at the bottom of our show page. So now let's come over to the blob again, and let's try to customize this a little bit more. So we have this video tag with the URL for the attachable, but let's see if we can change the width and the height a little bit to make it a bit more manageable. So let's start by saying preload is set to auto. Let's also show the controls so that we don't have to right-click controls every time. And that's just so that you can, see the play button when you try to play the video. We can set the width to, I think this should be 640 by a height of 360. And then there is also an option for a poster. So because we're using active storage already, what you could do is you could say that the post has a has one attached image. You could then come into your controller, add in the controller that it has that image, and then in the form just upload that image. And then in your blob.html.erb, you could grab whatever this whatever this post is or whatever, and you could grab like your thumbnail and you could do something similar to YouTube. We're not going to be doing that because that's a little bit beyond the scope of this video, but if you look up an active storage tutorial, I have a couple of them, shameless plug, I know. You can sort of combine that with this tutorial, pass in the video, and then you should be able to create your own custom thumbnail solution similar to YouTube's. But okay, we have our controls, we're preloading, we have our dimensions set. Let's go ahead and let's save this. Let's come back over to our blog and let's see what happens when we refresh. So here we have this lovely picture of Percy, and below this we have this video that is now appropriately sized, and it's using Video.js. So you can see here it has, better looking controls. We can change the volume. There's also download, and there's even a picture-in-picture option. So if I click play, I now have this picture-in-picture video that floats around on my desktop, which is pretty cool. But yeah, I think that's going to do it for this video. Let's go ahead and let's cut to the outro. Okay, so that's going to do it for this week's 20 in 20 video. I hope this helped. I know this is a little bit of a shorter one, and it's a little bit more unusual compared to what I normally do, but after the hiatus and my computer blowing up and having to get a new one. So hopefully you got some value out of this video. If you did, please remember to like it. If this video didn't help, please remember to dislike it, because we don't want to subject other people to more bad tutorials, and then they'll see that it's downvoted and they can go somewhere else for something more helpful. If you want to see more of this, we've still got 9 weeks left, I believe. I also post other video tutorials and other types of content, so, maybe consider subscribing, clicking the bell, all that other YouTube stuff nobody cares about. But that's going to do it for me. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.